creepy, and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
The US government has just released a long-awaited report on fluoride exposure, and it concluded that drinking water containing more than 1.5 milligrams of fluoride per liter is consistently associated with lower IQ in children. For perspective, this report marks the first time ever a federal agency has determined with moderate confidence that there is a link between higher levels of fluoride and lower IQ in children. Now, here's where things get interesting, because since 2015, the federal health officials recommended a fluoridation level of 0.7 milligrams per liter of water. The World Health Organization has set their safe limit as 1.5. Yet, the report says that about 1.9 million people in the US are on water systems with naturally occurring fluoride levels of 1.5 milligrams or higher. But what's even more interesting is that the current enforceable maximum contaminant level is all the way up at 4.0 milligrams per liter. That's more than double the World Health Organization's safe limit and more than 5 times the federal health officials. And what's more is that this 4.0 milligram standard is designed to prevent things like skeletal fluorosis, which is a potentially crippling disorder that causes weaker bones, stiffness, and pain. Now, on the flip side, the report did not come to a conclusion about the risks of lower fluoride levels, because remember, that's also a consideration, saying more study is needed. It also did not answer what high levels of fluoride might do to adults, because this was primarily focused on children. And for anyone who isn't aware, fluoride is a mineral that naturally exists in water and soil. And about 80 years ago, scientists discovered that people whose supplies naturally had more fluoride also had fewer cavities. In 1945, Michigan became the first state to start adding fluoride to tap water. 5 years later, federal officials came on board and endorsed water fluoridation to prevent tooth decay, but then continued to promote it even after fluoride toothpaste brands hit the market several years later. And while yes, you can ingest fluoride from a number of different sources, according to research, drinking water is the main source for Americans.
Fluoride is in tap water. Microplastics are in bottled water. What else? Oh, and I heard that boiling fluoridated water can actually concentrate the fluoride.
Where's my child?
Oh, okay, he's here.
I want my child. He is calm. I would like my child. I've talked to Chief Vasquez. I am recording this right now. This is my child. He has special needs. They are refusing to let him out until they saw I was recording. Is how you treat my kid too, I bet. Anthony, come on.
No.
What is wrong? You're not in trouble.
I stabbed.
You're gonna come with me and we're gonna talk.
I'm sorry, Mom. I
Hey.
really stabbed.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, you didn't do anything.
Of course I did.
Come here. You and I are gonna talk.
But the police have just put shades on me.
I know they did.
I could have got arrested for that. What?
You and I are gonna talk and you're gonna tell me exactly what happened. Because I guarantee you were probably telling them you were mad. And it probably took another 40 minutes before anyone listened to you. Come on, let's go.
What do you want to say?
You're gonna come home with me and Jeepa. Let's go. Where's Miss Lehman? Because I don't want to talk to anyone but her.
She's not here. She's at a meeting.
Okay, so the principal again is not here willing to talk to the mother of this child. Where's my son's stuff? How am I going to find out what really happened? Am I going to see the camera? Am I going to get documentation of a report? How am I going to know what really happened today?
Sure, Mr. Moore. I just got back from
No information from admin once again.
We're going home.
Yes.
Stay up.
Come on. I know.
You gonna report this to the news?
Yep.
He's saying he snapped and sounds like he understands he didn't do right. But did he put other kids in danger? If so, then they had every right to call the cops. What do you think?
Plane is not in the air. I am 100% sure this is just a private jet production set.
This plane is not in the air.
He has never left the States.
Bro, it's Durek is sitting way too tight, man. What bro,
And the water is not moving.
The water is fake. I bet this guy has never even flew the economy, man.
Now take a look at this juice bottle right here. You notice how as the plane moves, the content or the liquid in the bottle doesn't even move at all.
Bro, as the plane moves, the liquid in the bottle doesn't move with it.
Bro, does it move?
It's
What the fuck?
The whole truck and buy all this props to move all the way into this plane just to flex on us. He had to also.
Yeah, he's right there. It's just to flex on you people. Yeah, this is a $30,000 flight. It's just a 3-hour flight. Yes, it's right.
It's easy to fix. Show the outside.
Killed and dismembered a child is a child? A child killed a child? When Kim is first brought into the police station after her arrest, she's led into the interrogation room. Just from the way she carried herself, her look, nobody assumed that they caught the killer. She looked more like a helpful neighbor that might be able to provide a few more statements, a few more insights to the prosecutors. Not a full-blown killer who dismembered an 8-year-old. The interrogators bring her into the room, and up close, she actually looks even younger than her age. But it's chilling. The investigator working on the case said, her eyes, she would just follow you with her eyes, observing and staring so intently. They said it was very creepy. She just looks at them and she bluntly states, I don't remember. I think I had a dream. I don't know. My head just hurt so much and it felt like someone had hit me on the head. And then when I woke up, I just had a feeling that I had done something bad, but I don't remember. I really killed her? I thought it was a dream. I don't remember. You don't remember? The police are like, you don't remember anything? Let's jog your memory then. 10:50 a.m. She goes out hunting with her new disguise on. You don't remember any of that? She doesn't remember how 8-year-old Sarang was playing with her friends on the playground but wanted to call her mom to ask her if she could stay out longer, but she doesn't have a phone. So she went to the only adult that was at the playground, and she specifically even went to a woman. She approaches a female adult. Excuse me, miss, I need to call my mother. Can I borrow your phone? The woman in this oversized blazer, aka Kim, leans down, gets eye level with Sarang and smiles. My phone battery is dead. Why don't we go back to my house and you can use my landline? The two walk up to Kim's apartment with no incident. If you watch CCTV footage of them in the elevator, Kim is neither dragging Sarang, neither forcing her to follow. She's incredibly nonchalant. They even briefly share some small talk in the elevator. We don't know what they've said, but it seems very casual. Then getting the little girl into the apartment where both of her parents are off at work, so she's completely alone with her, and then strangling her with a charging cord, like a phone charging cord, just wrapping it around her neck and strangling her. She then proceeds to take off 8-year-old Sarang's clothes, placing her into the bathtub, grabbing 6 of her mom's kitchen knives to dismember her. She starts first by severing Sarang's right hand pinky finger. Interestingly, the knives were cleaned before being put back in their original spot. She has no memory of that either, though. She also doesn't remember pouring bleach down her whole body to wipe off the blood after Sarang's dismemberment. This whole murder took place over the span of roughly 2 hours. That's how long it took for Kim to lure Sarang into her house, strangle her, dismember her, then clean up every single drop of blood in that entire house, and then get rid of her remains in just 2 hours. And she doesn't remember anything?
There's a series on Netflix about this case. It's called Juvenile Justice.
Now, breaking news for NASA, and wow, what a discovery. So stop scrolling and just have a listen, because you are going to want to listen to this one. Now, everybody is aware of the James Webb Telescope. This has picked up city lights on a foreign planet, okay? 7 trillion miles away. That's right, 7 trillion miles away. So it goes without saying, there's lots of questions, and they're going to try to obviously analyze the information that they've got that's come back from the James Webb Telescope. But how fascinating is that? Now, there's a lot of believers and non-believers of, is there life elsewhere? Well, it's got to be, hasn't there? We can't literally be the only people, the only civilization in this universe. I literally just done a post the other day. So knowing that this is just obviously being talked about and put out there, I was actually quite excited and really looking forward to seeing other information they're going to be able to get to us. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Give this a save, share and repost, and let's wait to see what else is going to come off of this.
Apologize about the music at the end. This is how I got it from TikTok. But I don't believe a word NASA says.
Typhoon is expected to arrive tomorrow, so everyone is shopping and preparing to hunker down for the next couple days. All the meat and veggies are gone. The rice has been long gone.
Ooh.
Of course, the instant ramen too. Does give interesting insight on what, ramen people are buying and not. And these Ruffles are not selling well. They are kind of expensive. But overall, people are not buying chips, which also makes sense. As you can see, this typhoon is coming for all of Japan.
Oh.
Literally. But yeah, everyone's buying supplies and buckling down right now because everyone's saying it's going to be pretty bad. Like, bad enough where, stores are already saying they're going to be closed for the next 2 days. If you're planning to live in Japan, you kind of have to get used to these kind of things. Typhoons, earthquake, severe weather, on the rare occasion, tsunamis. And that just reinforces, if you're going to live here, You have to really try to learn the language for your own safety. Overall, I do think, Japan does a pretty okay job at providing services in foreign languages. Of course, the countryside's a little harder. If you're living in the big city like Tokyo, there's English everywhere.
This looks like something I would use to charge my phone.
So the NSA is selling these for $20,000. Inside of this is a Wi-Fi chip, a mini computer, and this thing emulates a keyboard and can type at 860 characters per second.
So now what does this do?
It can monitor your keystrokes. You can put this in line in between your keyboard and your computer. I can put this in straight into your phone. I can type keys. I can leave it there and come back later. This thing has its own Wi-Fi network that I connect to. You can match this up to yours and see it's absolutely identical.
100% same thing. Wow.
I'm a cybersecurity guy, but $20,000 cable? That's crazy.
Ireland police shared these images of a sudden surge in copper thieves going to great heights.
These cables that are 20, 30 feet above their head, if they cut the wrong cable, they could likely die.
To steal utility lines.
And they're doing it in broad daylight in front of the public.
That's new wire up there because this intersection got hit just a couple of weeks ago. Police say it was 6 o'clock on a Wednesday night when someone parked a U-Haul trailer out here and blocked a lane of traffic. They were loading that U-Haul with the stolen copper cable from up there.
What?
They got caught after a police pursuit.
Stop stealing stuff that doesn't belong to you.
This woman lives in Northwest Dallas. Her neighborhood's been hit.
The thieves are back.
Multiple times. It's happened in Fort Worth, Arlington. This video came from a man who lives in southern Dallas's Redbird neighborhood. That's another suspect posing as a worker. Each crime leaves customers without internet and costs providers thousands of dollars.
No, this is not one huge organized crime syndicate. This is individual people committing these types of crimes, and they're doing it right in front of us.
I am not kidding you. Just do it for 7 days. Do it from the time you hear this podcast, or you guys can start tomorrow. Do it from the time you hear this podcast for 7 days. You will never miss it. It will become your new drug of choice. Because what happens is it raises the dopamine, it improves your mood, it improves your emotional state, your diaphragm massages your intestines, it actually gets your motility in your intestines going. You elevate the amount of dopamine and serotonin in the body, and you flood the blood with oxygen. So for hours after you've done a short round of breath work, you feel amazing. The other thing you do is you make sure that you do it within 30 minutes of waking every day. And the reason for that is your circadian clock will get timed to that breath work. When you change time zones, as soon as you do breath work, your body will know this is the time to wake up.
Is this before my coffee?
Before your coffee.
Do you have coffee, by the way?
I do. Yeah, I don't have any issues with coffee. So I'll go outside, I'll do 3 rounds of 30 breaths with a breath hold in between, and then I'll go back inside and have my coffee.
If you want to see the procedure exactly, just search it up on YouTube. Breath work.
I refused to go through the airport body scanner, and I had an argument with the security person at the airport telling them it harms my body, and they said no, it does not. I said I can prove it, and they said no, you cannot, and here's exactly what I told them. Most body scanners used in airports around the world emit ionizing radiation, which has been linked to DNA damage, increasing the risk of cancer. There's so much radiation that the people who work next to the body scanners have a higher chance of developing brain cancer, tumors, and all types of issues related to their brains. This is documented and proven. Maybe the people that always complain that they feel ill, tired, nausea, or have headaches while they're traveling is because they're getting cooked in radiation every time they pass through the scanners before getting on the plane and when they land and get off. This is why I opt out and ask for a manual pat down instead. This is especially important if you travel a lot, if you're a pregnant woman, or if you're a child whose skull is typically only 1/4 the density of an adult. If you found this helpful, make sure to share it with someone that you know travels. Check out my profile because I post a video like this every single day.
Good to know. Thank you for the information.
When you're young, what irritates you about humans and adults is how fake they are, how they pretend to be something that they're not. And when you're a kid or you're a child or you're a teenager, you see through it. You see they're faking it. They're putting up a front. That's not really who they are. And it bothers you. Machiavelli just ripped that damn mask off of people's faces and said, this is the human animal as it is. They want power. He was writing about great Christian figures like the popes of Italy as if they were mafia dons, as if they were trying to gain power. And he had this idea, which to this day I think about all the time, that influences my thoughts, called the effective truth. The effective truth is, the truth of people is not in what they say about themselves. The Pope will say, I am the representative Christianity of Christ on earth, etc., but it doesn't mean anything. Look at their actions. Their actions reveal the effective truth of who they are, of what they are wanting, what they're doing.
The Bible says, you will know them by their fruits.
Police in Sydney are ramping up the search for a violent teenage prowler who's been terrorising the Northwest Rocks region for days now. He's attacked 4 women so far, with officers urging people to avoid walking around in the dark and also by themselves.
That's crazy.
Community members, I just ask that they obviously take care when they're out walking around. Ideally, if they can walk in more brightly lit areas.
While all his victims have been women so far, officers are adamant the attacks aren't targeted.
What's going on in Australia?
Moving on with Sean, he took me to some of his 50-unit block of 2 to 4 bedroom apartment he bought for 45 million Swiss francs.
You see all those ones from the beginning there?
Yeah.
All the way to the end here. The company was going bust, couldn't pay their dues, so they were in pressure to sell it. That's why I was telling you about opportunities. When opportunities come, and you need to jump at it.
So you need to have some liquidity, like for those kind of opportunities, no?
Yes, I could have probably even bought it for free. The bank says it's worth 56 million. The people probably know it's worth around that amount, but they wanted to sell it off immediately, so they want to sell for 50 million. But I struck it down to 45 million. Now the bank is looking at, oh, it's worth 56 million. 75% of 56 million is 42 million. So the bank brought 42 million. I would have had to bring 14 million. But because I was able to strike the price down to 45 million, I only had to bring 3 million. And I didn't bring any money cash. So what the bank did was go to my other properties and pulled out the other equity that was there, and they were able to pull out 3 million. Now we've gone to the first stage of the reservation and the second stage of the contract sale, which is irreversible. And you're the first person now to know this, because normally I always wait till the second, because we say that 3 steps. There's the reservation, where you pay a deposit. The second one is the contract of sale, signed. Once it's signed, it's irreversible. And the third one is what you call the Eigentumsübertragung. They will transfer the name, ownership, transfer of ownership from that company to my company, house function, right? And then the bank will now pay their own part. I've paid my own part. The bank will now have to pay their own part. But the bank will always do that once the ownership has been transferred to this. So we're on that now. In the next few weeks, it should be done.
Wow.
So it's so crazy. So even all these tenants now don't know that after they've paid, the company will now come. They have what you call a Hausverwaltung that manages for them as an agent. Agency that manages for them. They will now introduce me officially to them. Then I will now have a meeting with everybody
to say, like, this is a new company.
It's a new company now that is the owner, and then we'll have a meeting. And after that, I can now issue them a new contract or take over the contract, the old contract that they have.
Are you going to increase the rent?
I'll keep that for myself.
So what's the average rent now for the, let's say, 3-4 bedrooms?
The average rent is for 3 bedrooms about 2,300 to 2,500. This is without utilities, right? Just the rent.
This car that you're driving right now, how much is it right now? Like when you bought it, how much did you buy it for?
Because it's enhanced with Brabus and all that stuff, it's 423,000.
What? Jesus! Okay, now we're talking brand new.
Yes. Brand new,
Brabus
enhanced.
Did you have to pay that like in cash, or?
If you want to stay rich, you never pay anything. You buy yourself. I make other people pay. So if I do a deal where I made 1 million, I made 3 million. In this case, I made 3 million. Then if I buy from the 3 million, if I buy this car for 423,000, it means somebody else has paid it for me. So before I buy this car, I have to have a deal I've made money from that can pay for whatever. I don't pay for out of my pocket. Even the real estate I buy, not out of my pocket.
Yeah.
I bought a house here cheaper, 30%, 40% cheaper. I have equity in the house. I go to the bank. I say, bank, I have 2 million here. Can you give me loans, down payment for the next one?
Yeah.
So they give me from there because I already made the money there. It's not from my pocket. And because it's a loan, you don't pay taxes. That's the smartest move.
Yo,
After everything he's heard, the biggest shocker is the car. Bro dropped property acquisitions knowledge on him, but he's shocked by the car. This guy.
The president of Nigeria had a huge problem. He gets a call from France and they say, "Yo, Brody." He said, "Yeah." They said, "We have 3 of your jets here." President said, "Cool, I'm finna come pick them up right now." France said, "No, don't do that. We finna just keep them." He loses it. He says, "Y'all just keep taking from Africans, taking from Africans. Africans, ain't that right?" People in Nigeria said, "Why you got 3 jets?" He said,
3 jets?
The people of Nigeria had a problem. Their politicians are corrupt. You don't understand. Remember those jets I was telling you about earlier? France confiscated them because a Chinese company claimed to have been scammed by the Nigerian government. Now, I didn't look up if they actually got scammed or not because I don't care. We're here to talk about the people. Check this out. The people of Nigeria have been protesting nonstop because the price of gas, amongst other things, have gone up so much. Driving to work costs more than what you get paid working. So people just stay home. The president said, "Why y'all staying home?" They said, "Boy, you think we finna work for free?" He said, "Y'all tripping." Then he said, "I can't do anything about it." But see, there's actually a reason he said he can't do anything about it. See, Nigeria is one of the richest countries in the world because of their massive amount of oil. But oil does not last forever. Listen closely. The president decided to take all the money he uses to help people pay for gas and put it towards other resources. That's why the cost of living has gone up so much. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, it sounds like he's just trying to help. Well, here's where it starts to get wicked. He decides to make this change overnight. Like people just woke up in the morning and found out they couldn't afford to go to work. The people said, "President, we was already starving. What are you doing?" The president said, they said, "President." He said, "Huh?" I said, "Carving, like pumpkins for Halloween." They said, "Starving." He said, "Man, y'all just exaggerating. Didn't you hear the TikToker? One of the richest countries in the world." They said, "Rich where?" He said, "That's just a bad picture." They said, "Rich where?" He said, And his response is always just be patient. And the saddest part is his idea to put money in different resources isn't a bad one. But no one knows what's going to happen when the government starts moving that money around. In fact, this happens all the time. And the government's excuse is literally, "We lost it." This dude lost $20 billion one time. They said, "Where is it?" He said, "I don't know. I checked the closet. I checked everywhere. I don't know." And I know what you're thinking. If this has been going on for decades, why haven't they done anything about it until now? Well, they've tried. But many of the heroes were just like Kensaro Wiwa, who simply just said, "If you're going to take the oil from underneath our feet, at least give us schools and clean waters." It was such an international incident that Nigeria was banned from the Commonwealth of Nations. Only for like 3 years, which is the same thing as saying, "Don't do that again." The Nigerian government said, "Okay, we won't people anymore in public." The world said, what? Nigeria said, huh? So some activists had accidents, others got bribes. It got so bad that people literally started saying screw it and started getting oil for themselves. Like full-on oil operations they sell to the world on their own. They said, "This is Nigerian oil, so I'm gonna make my money." But this has a whole host of other problems on its own that I'm not gonna get into. And it really is a shame. Because every time I think about Nigeria, I think, damn, that was our Wakanda. Like, that was our chance. You feel what I'm saying? They've had this oil money for like 70 years, but people like him have just put it in their pocket. But it is not over, and there is hope for the future. African countries have been having revolutions all over, while at the same time removing themselves from colonization and grasping onto their resources. So all it takes is one good leader to make that happen. And I think the next generation got it.
Mexico. Nigeria president didn't have a problem. He was the problem.
Just paused diplomatic ties with the United States Embassy as tensions have exploded out into the open, with their president saying he's paused relations with the U.S. Embassy until they say that they're going to respect the independence of Mexico. Right, so all of this started when the American ambassador to Mexico said that their new proposed judicial reform is a, quote, major risk to the functioning of Mexico's democracy, and that the reform could threaten their trade relationship with the U.S., which is a big deal. Right, the U.S. and Mexico are each other's largest trade partners, and they may do more trade with each other than any other pair in the world. Okay, so what is this judicial reform that's caused this? Well, basically, the president of Mexico wants to change the system and put all judges, including the Supreme Court, up for election and allow anyone with a law degree to run for judge. Whereas right now, the judges are appointed by qualification. And so the U.S. says that right now, the direct election of judges could allow the cartels to seize control of the judiciary. Though supporters of the reform say that it's just giving more power to the people and that more democracy is never a bad thing.
So the USA lecturing other countries on how to manage their judiciary? Well, there is a dumpster fire.
Moroccan guys make $1 million every month by delivering fresh produce in less than 24 hours. Meet Larbi Alawi Belridi and Youssef Mamou, co-founders of Yola Fresh, a platform connecting farmers and retailers. Larbi worked at Accenture and Oracle and launched Avito before leading the Jumia Group. Youssef worked with Samsung and Huawei Technologies and led Kareem's North Africa branch. In late 2022, Larbi wanted to start a farming business, but noticed issues in Morocco's fresh food supply chain. Challenges such as food waste, shipping, and labor problems caused a mismatch between supply and demand. Farmers had trouble selling their crops, and stores didn't get good deals. So Larbi approached Youssef, who had a farming background, to solve this problem. They studied startups that tackled similar obstacles like Frubana in Latin America, Meikai in China, and Waycool in India. They also spoke with the founders and concluded they could use tech to make Morocco's fresh food supply chain digital. They then launched Yola Fresh in 2023, connecting smallholder farmers directly with retailers, eliminating middlemen. Within a year, Yola Fresh started working with over 1,000 retailers across Morocco and recorded up to $1 million in monthly revenue. They partnered with Waycool Foods to speed up their growth in Africa this year, and in May 2024, secured a $7 million funding round to expand their operations.
Very bold and smart.
Watched another Pablo Escobar documentary.
They don't make men like that anymore.
They really don't, because Escobar owned the country.
Yeah.
And terrorized the country. And he doesn't get enough...
Did he terrorize the country?
100%. He doesn't get enough credit as a terrorist, because he's really not just like a lord. He's a terrorist. He's a narco terrorist. Because you forget sometimes, you're just like, yeah, cartel guy, and you see when he tied up the waiter and made him drown in the pool for stealing the spoons and shit, and like planes and tigers and shit. But then you forget that like he killed 500 cops one year. He sent bombs into buildings that would just blow up.
He blew up a plane.
Yes.
He blew up entire city blocks, and he was just like, I will destroy this whole country.
It's a real brain to be able to take over an entire trade and run a country.
But the interesting thing is that he had an army of men that were like, you are God. They weren't like, you're my boss. They're like, you're God.
You hear that downstairs? I want to change things around here. You are God.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know, he was very smart, but ego was his downfall.
Got checks, right? They're blank checks, or they're filled out and signed or whatever, but he's got a bunch of them in his pocket. He said like 5 of them or something. And he's going around cashing them. He happens to go to some kind of a beach restaurant or something, and he's sitting there and he sees a guy in a sports car come out, and he's like, hey man, he's like, I got one just like that. And he said, I showed him a picture of the car, and the guy's like, oh, wow. And they start talking about the car, and for some reason or another, the guy says, can we swap information? And he goes, sure. So he takes a pencil and he writes his information on the back of the card, or one of the checks, and he's just going to tear the check off. He said, but the guy ends up going somewhere and says, I'll be back in a minute. He goes, and he's waiting and waiting. The guy never shows up, so he gets up and leaves. So he's got his name and address on the back of a check. He then forgets about it, and a couple days later, he goes by a bank and he cashes that check. Goes in, cashes the check. They give him the cash. They give him like $1,000. He leaves, and then he's like laying in bed that night or something, and suddenly goes, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, my name's on the back of this check. Or it was the other guy had given him his information and it was on the back of the check. Somebody's name was, but he knew if they find this guy, whatever, I'm done. He calls the bank and he says, hey, I'm so-and-so from the FBI. We believe that somebody went through your bank the other day and cashed a check. And he says he uses the name that they go, oh, yeah. No, we already called the FBI. They're sending somebody down here right now. And he goes, oh, okay, I'm just making sure. Okay, thanks. We're calling lots of banks. I must have double called it. Yeah, no problem. Hangs up the phone, jumps in his car, races to the bank, which wasn't far away. He just walks in knowing that another FBI agent is coming. Walks in the bank and says, hi, I'm here to pick up a check that you guys have. The woman's like, oh, yeah, we've been waiting for you. And he knows a real FBI agent's going to come in at any time. So she goes, yeah, we have the check right here. He said, great, I need to take that. She says, well, we need to make a copy of it. He goes, oh, okay. And he's looking, he says, yeah, let's go make a copy. They walk in there, and he says, here, he puts the copy down, closes it, and says, I'll help make a copy. They make a copy, and he makes sure that they don't make a copy of the back of it, And he takes the check, and he walks out. And he's like, I'm sure that the real FBI agent walked in 5 minutes later or something and probably asked for, hey, I'm here to get the check. And they're like, oh, one of your guys was just here.
So the FBI shows up with zero identification and the bank just believes that? Okay.
What?
The cobra gave the monkey a kiss. Seeing this, many thought the monkey was doomed, but that wasn't the case. A few days prior, the cobra had accidentally become trapped and was discovered by the monkey. Initially, the cobra feared the monkey intended to harm it and attempted to scare it away. However, the monkey surprised the cobra by helping it instead. Deeply grateful for this unexpected act of kindness, the cobra started following the monkey everywhere, acting as its guardian. It's quite astonishing to think that even a cold-blooded, seemingly merciless creature like a cobra can understand and display gratitude. After the rescue, the bond between the two grew stronger.
Oh, look at
When the monkey woke up one day, it nonchalantly draped the cobra around its neck. This sight left the photographer utterly shocked, fearing the cobra might bite the monkey. However, the cobra remained completely relaxed, showing no signs of aggression. The cobra had made a decision to dedicate the rest of its life to protecting its savior.
Cobra's fangs were removed.
See this crazy admission from Mark Zuckerberg over at Facebook, Meta, Instagram? He says the Biden-Harris administration pressured him to take things down, to censor people on his platforms. And he did it. He admitted this in a letter to a committee in the House of Representatives. He says that he was pressured, they gave in to the pressure, and he actually shows regret that he did so. He says that the federal government under Biden and Harris were telling him, we will go after you on Section 230 and make it so that you can be liable for anything posted on your platforms, or we might look at antitrust legislation that would control you unless you do what we tell you to do. Now, listen, I know that I'm doing this on a platform, and this platform does have a terms of service that it can say that this is mis or dis or mal information. They have the right to say that in their terms of service. But the government overreaching the First Amendment to tell platforms what they can and can't allow and what they must take down, that's a different story completely. Give me your thoughts on this right now. Give me a like. Make sure you share this so everybody knows about this, that Mark Zuckerberg actually just fought back against a central government that's trying to censor. Come on.
Zuckerberg knows what is coming and is getting scared.
Have you ever wondered why Jeffrey Epstein remained hidden for so long? Have you ever wondered why you instantly can't find something on Google? And why doesn't anybody talk about Google's founder, Larry Page? If you didn't know, Larry Page co-founded Google with Sergey Brin in 1998 and served as chief executive at both Google and Alphabet at various points between 1998 and 2019. That date right there is very important. And he also remains a member of Alphabet's board of directors. Attorneys for the U.S. Virgin Islands issued a subpoena to Page similar to the one from Musk, seeking records regarding his communications with Epstein and any other documentation concerning Epstein's involvement in human trafficking. The government also argues that Epstein attempted to maintain his ties with J.P. Morgan by touting his connections with other high-worth individuals as potential bank clients. The government of the U.S. Virgin Islands has tried without success so far to serve a subpoena on Google co-founder Larry Page. And the USVI formally asked Manhattan Federal Court Judge Jed Rakoff to authorize the government to serve Page with that subpoena through so-called alternative means, since its efforts to have a process server physically give it to him have failed to date. And allegedly, Page in 2018, ironically, shelled out $32 million for Cayo Norte. Located 20 nautical miles east of Puerto Rico, at nearly 300 acres, it's the largest privately owned island in Puerto Rico. Page is also renowned to have 5 islands located across the globe as well, where he also owns Cayo's closest neighbor, the Lalique Islands, for which he paid $23 million in 2014. You know what's really interesting about Larry Page? I'm sure you can read this for yourself. It seems to be a trend. Now you can call me what you want, but when you start considering what was leaked on Telegram and why the CEO of Telegram has been arrested as of recently, you might start thinking outside the box. Now ironically, Page stepped down from Alphabet Inc., on December 4th, 2019. Just months after August 10th, 2019, when Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his lower Manhattan jail cell of an apparent, yeah, you know what. But was he? I'm not going to speak upon that too much here on TikTok, but is that not ironic timing? But now, weirdly enough, the spotlight is no longer on Larry Page. The spotlight is no longer on Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan. The spotlight is no longer on Jeffrey Epstein.
When the stuff hits the fan, we know they will all be on island.
Do you remember the Jumpman logo, Jordan with pants? Apparently, it's always been pants. Apparently, he's always wore pants. Never wore shorts in this timeline. Also, the Raisin brand, son, never wore sunglasses. Apparently, that never happened. Check it out, Google it. Now, doing this research, I have seen that some things inherently I know is true. Some things I can tell that somebody, government, whoever you want to call it, is altering it to fuck with us. Now, why are they fucking with us? That's when it starts to become eerie. I start to have a weird feeling about it. It's like, because obviously they're doing this on purpose. Is it to discredit us? Is it to take validity out of what we're saying? Is it to try to change history? I don't know, but the more you go down this hole, the more you realize that some things are absolutely true and some things are meant to be like discouraging or to make you feel like you're a kook or like you're crazy or nobody to listen to you. There has to be a reason why. There has to be a reason why they are doing this, because some of it is just blatant. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know.
I don't pay attention, but why would he wear pants? That doesn't even make sense.
Why do you think most of celebrities lose their minds? You cannot hold that pain for a long time. They keep meditating, they keep finding ways of getting rid of those pains. They try to look for shortcuts, but no matter what they do, they keep going deeper and deeper. They stay in clubs all night drinking so that they can forget the sorrows of the world. But the more they drink, the more they get hangover and more pain and problems. Then they wake up only to find the same problem they were trying to run away from. So Jesus is the only way
Amen.
to escape from all those troubles of this world.
Glory to God.
I'm finally going to answer this question. So I think it was back in 2006. My sister was the first person to tell me that I favor Rihanna. She called me out the blue and she was like, you know who Rihanna is? And I said, no. And she was like, well, you need to go look her up on YouTube because she's a singer and you look just like her. So I eventually went on YouTube and I heard the song and I saw her and I said, okay, I guess. And it's just, after that, as time went by, years flew by, everybody started telling me, family members, classmates, co-workers, random people, everywhere I go, wherever I am, you know, like Rihanna, you kind of favor Rihanna, everywhere, like, oh my God, girl, I thought she was Rihanna. It's just everywhere, every day, Rihanna.
She's gorgeous and does looks like Rihanna. People say I look like Tiger Woods.
Documentary came out 2 days ago about missing girl Janelle Matthews, and it has me freaked out. 5 days before Christmas in 1984, 12-year-old Janelle Matthews was dropped off at her school for a recital. Her dad went to go watch her sister's basketball game, and so when the recital was over, her friend drove her home. This was the last time anyone had seen her. If you love documentaries, make sure to hit follow because I post daily and you'll never miss out on what to watch. When Janelle was dropped off, she went inside her house, closed the garage, and flicked the front porch lights on and off to let them know that she was okay. When her dad and sister arrived home later that evening, the garage door was wide open and Janelle was nowhere to be seen. They immediately call the police and the police find rake marks behind the house that were covering up footprints. They immediately suspect a kidnapping and start a huge manhunt. Janelle becomes one of the first missing children to be posted on a milk carton, and unfortunately her family goes 38 years without answers. This documentary is crazy. It's really well made. It goes into all the theories and ultimately you do find out what happens to Janelle. Make sure to add this to your list and let me know what you think about this in the comments.
It's on Hulu if you want to check it out.
The war in Sudan has now been raging for over 500 days without a single ceasefire or a steady flow of aid. It's become one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. So why is it so difficult for aid to make it in? We're in Chad, where over 630,000 refugees have escaped the violence across the border in Sudan's Darfur region. Goods and people have been moving freely between the two countries for decades. So why can't aid?
No food, no money. Best, the water is full.
Water is food.
Yeah.
We went to Chad's border with North Darfur, where fighting continues between Sudan's army and the paramilitary RSF for control of the region. Aid trucks full of medicine and food have been stuck there for weeks. Truck drivers from Darfur themselves told us they've been warned against risking the trip and facing RSF checkpoints on the road. The RSF has attacked aid convoys, warehouses, and looted supplies multiple times since the start of the war. The UN has managed to move some trucks, but not enough, and have now been slapped with stipulations by Sudan's Humanitarian Aid Commission. That means if any aid ends up in the hands of the RSF, the ban could be reinstated. As political solutions fail, aid access needs to enter Sudan to relieve besieged populations, because beyond the bombs, thousands more are dying from sickness and starvation.
Now, with the famine declaration, I hope that the world attention, which hasn't been there sufficiently, really steps up on Sudan, Darfur, this region, and that the resources will follow so that we can step up and strengthen our response.
Thank you for sharing this heartbreaking news. God help Sudan.
Yeah, I'm moving out now.
You're moving out?
Way out of the city.
Why are you moving out?
They stole my truck twice.
They stole your truck twice?
So then they said, leave your keys by the front door. No problem. So I got 2 girls and a wife. So they come in my house, it's just 7, right? Twice, 2 brand new trucks. Police didn't care. I had to chase the truck down myself, found it on the app, told them. We showed up next, probably 8-10 hours later. You know, stuff like that, right?
When was the truck
crazy.
stolen?
March 7th. I still don't have it yet. This is my father-in-law's truck he let me to use. Right?
Where's this, Canada?
I support everything you're doing.
Look, let's look at it here.
Yeah.
Only 1% of shipping containers get inspected.
Yeah.
Your car or your truck probably went in a shipping container
Yeah.
and left through the port of Montreal.
Oh, the first one at least, yeah.
Do you have an air tag on it?
Yeah.
So you were
The
able to
second
track
one I
it.
put a tag on. He does it.
And where did it back? You found it back, okay. But it was probably headed for a shipping container.
Yeah, it was
overseas.
in a cool down period for sure.
Yeah.
I found it the same night, and Metro didn't know. PO saying it's Metro, Metro saying it's PO. No one cared.
So think about this. You have a scanner at the port.
Yeah.
The manifest on the box, on the container says that it's widgets in there. But the scanner shows that it's a truck.
80,000 pounds.
Yeah. So you take it out of the container, you match the VIN to the owner, they call you up and they say, hey, were you planning to send your truck over to Africa today? You say no. Well, obviously it's a stolen truck. They give you the truck back and they arrest the guy who booked the shipping container. Isn't that a common sense solution?
I was traveling from Guyana to Toronto one time, last December. They took away peppers.
Yeah.
In customs or security.
Right.
Peppers.
At the
Cooking
airport,
peppers.
Wow.
Right? But yet, these guys are going away with
They took the car out,
hundreds,
yeah.
maybe thousands of cars a year. How is that possible? You know, you can't bring a mango into the country because, you know, they're going to check your bag.
But you could bring some crack cocaine. That would be okay.
100%, right?
Buddy robbed a couple of banks. He was sitting down somewhere at like a Starbucks or something. And he said, I looked over at this bank and he was like, there's no cop in that bank. He's like there's 3 tellers. He had no money. Like literally he's being evicted, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he went, I'm going to rob that bank. And he was like, what should I do? Like, what do I need to disguise? And he's like, and there was a store on the corner, across the street, but on the corner. And he went, I'm going to go buy a baseball cap.
Right.
So I wrote a note.
Yeah.
And he said, I left, went down there. I bought like a baseball cap, put the cap on, walked across the street, walked down there, walked in the bank.
Right.
Walked up, gave him the note. Either she got scared or she was like, are you serious? He's like, I'm serious. And she's like, oh, okay. And she gave him, you know, what? She took the drawer and she popped it, pop, 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 pop. He said, and I spent it in the next, whatever, week or two, and it's gone. And he said, you know, I caught up my rent. I did this, I did that. He said, you know, whatever it was, a month later or something. He's like, I needed money. He said he went back to Starbucks, watched the video, and he robbed the same bank again. He went and put a baseball cap on, wrote another note, walked in, did the thing, and so he said, and I left.
Right.
He's like, because nobody ever showed up. He's like, now I've robbed like 2-3 banks. Nobody showed up. Gets into his car and he leaves. He came to Florida. 3 years go by. He starts selling cars. He's doing well. He said 3 years go by. I'm driving down the road one day. He said, I get pulled over. The cop comes up. He gives him his driver's license, whatever. The guy leaves. Goes back to the car. He said, I'm waiting. I'm like, God, this is really taking a long time. He said, and then another cop or trooper or whatever pulls up, parks. He said, then I see another one pull up. He said, I went, this is nuts. He's like, what's going on? He said, the cop walks. He said, then they walk up and boom, next thing you know, they're pulling their guns. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. He's like, so I get out of the car. They make me get on my knees, my belly, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it was right then or when he got downtown, he said he realized, he's like, what are you arresting me for? And whatever it was, they said, bank robbery. And he thought, that was years ago.
Yeah. So they knew who he was, But the local police never thought of looking for him at his home.
$10,000 a month is easier than you think. A group of entrepreneurs from Chicago created a genius packaging concept that has taken social media by storm. Their idea, a pyramid-shaped packaging filled with mini sandwiches, mini croissants, and other bite-sized treats, perfect for office lunches. This innovative packaging not only looks appealing, but also offers convenience and stylish way to enjoy your meal on the go. The inspiration came from the need to provide busy professionals with a quick and yet satisfying lunch option. They wanted to create something that wasn't just functional but also visually striking. After experimenting with different designs, they settled on the pyramid shaped, which quickly became a hit. As their video gaining millions of views online, their client list growing rapidly, with people eager to try their unique lunch experience. The story shows that sometimes it's simplest idea that makes the biggest impact. Whether you're looking to start your own business or just need creativity boost, keep thinking outside of the box. Success might be closer than you think.
Nice presentation too.
Senegal's President Faye is making the West nervous as he is following through on campaign promises to renegotiate oil production agreements with Western oil companies. Complicating things for the West, Senegal appears to be getting advice from Saudi Arabia on how to win these negotiations, and if President Faye is successful, it will represent one of the biggest infusions of wealth to West Africa in recent memory, and a major blow to Western influence in Africa. First, the backstory. Senegal was historically not a producer of oil or other hydrocarbons. This changed in 2014 with the discovery of the Sangomar field by the Australian company Woodside Energy, which ended up having far more oil than anyone expected. Let's talk about the numbers at stake. The Sangomar field is projected to produce over 100,000 barrels of crude oil per day, which equates to an annual value of $2.74 billion. Under the current partnership arrangements between the Woodside Energy Company and the Senegalese company Petrosen, Senegal only receives 18% of the revenue from this production, which is projected to be at $492 million per year. However, this didn't take into account the refined value of the oil, which could be worth $5.75 billion after refining, meaning less than 10% of the gross revenue of the Senegalese oil would be retained in their country under the current deal. Not realizing the scale of the discovery, the previous Senegalese government set up a revenue-sharing agreement with the Woodside Energy Company that rightfully came under heavy criticism, particularly from then-candidate Faye, for giving up almost all of the profits. President Faye thought his country should follow the Saudi model, where they would buy out the Western oil companies and use the oil revenue to establish a sovereign wealth fund for Senegal. These appeared to be typical campaign promises until it was discovered the president was becoming quite good friends with Saudi Arabia. And remember, Saudi Arabia had a history of bad oil deals with the West in the 20th century before taking control of their natural resources, so they had extensive experience in these negotiations. So what does President Faye want? International negotiations are typically kept confidential by all sides, but if he is being advised by the Saudis, he is likely looking for Petrosen to negotiate a buyout of Woodside Energy's position and then refine the oil domestically. This would create tens of thousands of high-paying jobs and keep more of the money in the domestic economy. But there are a few challenges. Presently, Senegal only has the capacity to refine 30,000 barrels of oil per day, and it would take years of reinvesting profits to expand this capacity to meet the current production. Secondly, Woodside Energy is very good at oil prospecting, and they may discover more fields, so Senegal may very well want to continue the relationship just with more fair terms. But even if they were to negotiate a 50-50 split on production and the refining of the oil, they would increase their annual revenue to $2.87 billion per year, which is a 500% increase over what they have under the current terms, which would give Senegal the capital necessary to develop their own infrastructure and exploration teams, which would mean that the country could potentially be fully autonomous when it came to oil production. And with those assets, they might even look to break from the French CFA. They may not need to take loans from the IMF and the World Bank, and the rest of West Africa might start thinking they could do the same for themselves. So these negotiations represent much more than revenue sharing for an oil field. This could potentially represent a weakening of Western influence in West Africa. So I wouldn't expect the West to let Woodside Energy handle the situation by themselves, but we will have to wait and see what their next move will be. But I want to know what you guys think. Is President Faye going to be able to follow through on his promises to renegotiate the oil deal, or will the West make him an offer he can't refuse? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if this video provided value to you, give me a like and a follow. That really helps out my channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.
And all of the sudden, Senegal has warlords, political upheaval, and establishments of Western-backed government.
Just 2 years ago, we sanctioned the government Iran for having the temerity to censor its own internet. This is so funny because, our own Department of Homeland Security was doing the exact same thing to censor Americans. To us. To us. I mean, technically, the United States should be kicked off the dollar, for doing exactly what we accuse foreign countries of doing, but we selectively promote either free speech or censorship depending on what's most advantageous for political control in any particular country.
One of the things I've learned from you over the past couple of years, I've learned a lot from you. Our foreign policy drives our domestic policy.
There's no such thing as domestic policy.
Exactly.
There's no such thing as domestic policy because every country's domestic policy is another country's foreign policy.
Ooh, America sells the dream of freedom very well. That's it.
My biggest investment so far is investing in a foreign country's economy to get their passport.
What country?
St. Kitts.
How
Small
much
Caribbean.
is that? 250?
120.
120?
Yeah.
Wow, what's the advantage of doing that?
Compared to my Egyptian passport that gets me into 54 country visa free, and it's the 54 countries that you've never heard of. The St. Kitts passport will allow me to get into 154 countries visa free. My passport is pretty useless for travel. Everywhere I go, I need to apply for a visa, I need to show up in person, I need to show them that I'm financially capable or won't break my visa and run away to their country. So it's just the most annoying process. And it has prevented me from participating in 50% of travel videos for Yes There. I did the math and that investment made sense for my career and my own personal well-being and being able to enjoy the opportunities that I get.
Okay, can you, I'm sorry, I didn't, can you say that again?
Yeah, hi Tatiana, this is Shelly from HR.
From HR, okay.
Me?
No, I don't remember you, but what's going on?
Well, we had a discussion a couple weeks ago about your absenteeism and tardiness.
Okay.
Do you know what time you have to be clocked in at work?
6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 a.m.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, on 7/18, you clocked in at 6:12.
Wow.
We had a discussion about that.
What do you mean, wow? You late.
Yeah, but, they're waiting on you to be there, clocked in and ready to work at 6.
Okay. Okay.
So your employment is really going to be terminated as of today because also
Oh.
on 7/28 you clocked in at 6:21.
21 minutes.
Yes, that's 21 minutes of company time.
Yeah.
But I still work though. Why didn't y'all tell me that today when I was just at work?
Because I handle all the HR, so they wanted me to call you because we had that discussion, remember, about...
And that was the day that I let all right, keep going.
So you were also on 8/8, you clocked in at 6:32.
Oh.
That was it. Okay, so I let my cousin use my car the night before,
cares?
and he didn't bring it. He overslept or something. He didn't bring it back till the morning. So I still made it though.
Literally 9 days after we talked. So, and then on 8/12, you just did a no-call, no-show.
That was my birthday. August 12th, that's my
What?
birthday. I already
you didn't
told you.
request that day off work, though.
But y'all know,
You
that's
have to
my
come to
birthday.
work
Though.
on
I'm
your
not.
birthday.
No, that's fine. All right. Okay.
Everyone works on their birthday. Even I worked on my birthday.
Yup.
Y'all too grown for me.
You're a kid.
Well, unfortunately, I just need you to turn your keys in. And your
I'll be there tomorrow, because that's crazy. That's crazy. Like, what? What? No.
You need to take ownership. Late is late. What's with the attitude? You're a grown up.
These are some celebrities that experienced some of the worst Hollywood tragedies, part 1. One of the worst things that I've ever seen Hollywood do to someone. I mean, when they warn you about Hollywood, they talk about this stuff. Brendan Fraser is an actor known for his role on George of the Jungle and also the Mummy trilogy. Everything was going great in his career until 2003. That's whenever everything started happening, and it was kind of like a snowball effect, unfortunately. In 2003, he goes to this work event. It is a luncheon, and there's a very important person there. It is someone who is on the chair of the Emmys. He goes in to shake this man's hand, and this man touches his behind and does not ask permission. And he does a little more than that, but I cannot talk about that on here. This moment would affect him for the rest of his life. This man was also the president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. So I'm sure it was unbelievably horrifying. And I mean, this is happening in public, in front of people you work with, I'm sure, in front of colleagues. In Homeboy's book, not Brendan, but Homeboy, he basically says that he did it in jest, like he did it as a joke, and there's nothing funny about that. Like, I don't know what it is about quote unquote straight men like touching other men's behinds, but like it's weird, and like cut it out. It's not a joke, it's not funny. It's not a joke, it's not funny. And you don't know him like that. He's never touched you like that, so why are you touching him like that? Keep your hands to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. Hello. After this, Brendan Fraser starts to notice that the phone stops ringing for him. He starts to not receive as many roles. And y'all have to understand, this was the man who was in The Mummy.
Yeah.
He stopped getting roles and he wondered why. He had to ask himself why. And then, as if it couldn't get any worse, literally a couple of years later, he would get in a nasty, huge divorce with his now ex-wife. After this, he definitely had some like knee and leg injuries because of his very taxing job as an actor. Like, some actors like to do their own stunts and some don't. And so he was having so many issues with his like knees and legs. And unfortunately, his mother passed away, like one thing after the other. But then thankfully, he has a really big hit in his career, The Whale. I don't know if y'all have seen The Whale. I've been wanting to see it so bad, but I just remember him being interviewed and he was like crying his eyes out because he was so grateful. Thankfully, now he has found a new love of his life. But whenever The Whale started getting attention, he made it very clear that he is not going to go to the Golden Globes. And like, if they nominate him, too bad, so sad, because of his history with the Hollywood foreign press. Those are the people that vote and decide who gets to have the Golden Globes, if you don't know that. So yeah, now he's just saying that he's a little bit more picky with his roles now, which I think is absolutely amazing. And just seeing all the interviews and stuff like that of him getting emotional about the support, it just makes me feel so happy that he's doing better, because he deserves it. He deserves it. And I'm so glad he was able to tell his story with minimal interruptions, like Homeboy trying to say like, no, I did it, but like not like that, girl. Go up against Brendan Fraser, just gonna cost you, because he got a whole army of people behind him. We love you, Brendan.
Brendan Fraser deserved better. I watched almost all his movies, Jaws of the Jungle, Bedazzled, the Mummy movies, and I was so confused as to why I never saw him in movies anymore.
So apparently Russia fired around 28 caliber cruise missiles from their Black Sea fleet into Ukraine yesterday, along with a massive drone attack that resulted in, I think, the death of at least 7 people and wounding at least 47 others. Now, these caliber cruise missiles are pretty powerful. They can travel about 2,500 kilometers per missile. And despite the fact that a lot of folks think that the Black Sea fleet has been degraded a lot due to the fact that they've taken a lot of hits to a lot of their ships, but I think that this strike was just them proving a point that they're still operational.
Wait a second, I thought Ukraine destroyed Black Sea Fleet.
All right, we know it's only August, but we have to show you something from BC that was spotted south of Kamloops. Snow. Yep, the video was captured by Drive BC's webcams from the along the Okanagan connector to British Columbia. I'm speechless right now. It's way too early for snow. The elevation is around 1,700 meters. Environment Canada says a low pressure system brought a cooler air mass into the region, and that is what produced the flakes.
If you have children, you need to watch this, because this is incredibly disturbing. I was scrolling through the news today when I saw this headline. And this is something that I've seen happening a lot in our society. Pedophiles are becoming more tech savvy, and they are now using AI bots to generate CP. This is 34-year-old Seth Herrera. Disturbingly, he has a wife and a child, and he was a member of the U.S. Army. He was stationed in Alaska, originally from Texas. Recently, investigators searched Seth's devices, and what they found was nothing short of pure horror. Seth had 3 different cell phones, and on those cell phones he had an app disguised as a calculator that would open up if you input a password. And on each of those phones, Seth had tens of thousands of images and videos depicting CP or CSAM. And some of the children in those videos were as young as infant age. And investigators in the press release described this stuff as disturbingly violent. But that wasn't all. Seth was actually using AI to generate his own CP/CSAM, and he generated these disturbing images depicting abuse of children that were around the same age as his own daughter. I can't even begin to imagine what his wife and kid must feel right now hearing and learning this about their father/husband. But this is a trend that we need to watch out for. I've already made stories about this and TikToks about this, but predators are evolving. And I truly don't understand how they are going to keep track of all this stuff, especially with how big AI is about to get. Yeah, the Department of Justice can say they're going to track and prosecute all these people that do this sort of a thing. And yet, there's just no way that they can possibly even start to do that. It's just disturbing to me how people can seem so normal on the outside and then in secret, when they're in private, they're doing this sort of twisted, sick shit. And I have no empathy or sympathy for disgusting freaks like this guy.
You know, they have sex dolls the size of kids who will scream, they bruise, etc. This is where our society is going. Pedos is starting to get normalized. Everyone needs to open their eyes and realize this.
If you have to evacuate your city, don't make this mistake like most people will. Don't forget to like, share, and save. With the world crumbling around us, you might need this information sooner than you think. Let's get into it. If you have to evacuate and you live in a major city, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, what's the fastest way to get out? Calm down and take a breath. It's already too late for that. You need to think of the opposite. The fastest way on your average commute out of the city is going to be the absolute slowest way when everyone hits the road at the same time. The last thing you want at this point is to be stuck on some highway with thousands of other people, which is exactly what's going to happen because that's the way that herd mentality plays out, unfortunately. You need to think about back alleys, train tracks, bike and footpaths. Plan multiple routes and avoid major corridors and congestion points like bridges and tunnels at all costs. But not only that, without a viable means of transportation, I would be avoiding roads at all costs. AP.
Even the slowest route would definitely be thought of by thousands too. So I 100% agree on that. I stay completely away from roads at all.
How does the United States benefit from Pavel Durov's arrest in France? Well, easy. See, most of the big companies like Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp are all in the US, so they've already backdoored into them. That's why they're trying to take over control of TikTok as well. They want to backdoor into that as well. They've done this. You can research this. This is well-known information. They did it back into the telephone companies years before social media was around as well. Pavel Durov in Telegram is controlled in Dubai, which is part of the United Arab Emirates. And the US has not been able to put significant pressure on him yet to backdoor into it. So by doing this, they're trying to get a backdoor into Telegram so they can see all of our communications. That's why they want Pavel Durov under arrest.
Pavel Durov said the US tried to hire his scientists, and when he refused, they offered him money to give them backdoor to Telegram, but he snitched.
Man, they try to kick me off the plane, y'all. They try to kick me off of America.
We have to suffer.
They try to take me out of first class.
Where are you trying to put him at?
We gotta put him in coach.
Oh, no.
You ain't putting me in no
absolutely
coach,
not.
man.
Absolutely.
You ain't putting me in no coach, man.
Absolutely not.
This ain't never happened to me in my life.
These are our seats.
Man,
We got on
y'all
our
tripping.
tickets, it say 1A.
I'm a-
It say 1A and 1C.
I'm a celebrity. I'm telling you, this is gonna be repercussions. It's gonna be repercussions to this. Because I'm gonna get off the plane. I'm gonna get off the plane. I'm not gonna let y'all disrespect me like that. I'm not gonna let y'all choose me out of all the people on the plane and disrespect me. So I'm gonna get off the plane. No. I'm gonna get off the plane. Come on. You ain't gonna disrespect me.
You make sure you get all your stuff, baby.
I don't understand.
Kind of funny to me. I ain't gonna lie.
They took your seat but didn't take my seat. I don't understand. Ma'am,
Out of all the
please,
people
just
on
leave
the
it alone.
plane.
Yeah, why would they making him go to coach if he paid for first class? Because he's black?
On first class. First class? I think I know a thing or two about first class. Huh? Ain't that first class? All of them. I think I know a thing or two about first class. On with them. American Airlines, all the money I spend with you. Everything that's blue is American Airlines. They're gonna try to put me in coach. I ain't never flew coach. Y'all. I feel played.
We received
I
a
understand,
request/demand from the Russian side saying you have to give us the private data of the organizers of this protest. And our response was, wait a minute, this is a different country. We won't betray our Ukrainian users because you ask us to do that. We decided to refuse, and that didn't go too well with the Russian government as well. So at the end of that year, I had to make a difficult decision because I was offered basically a choice between two suboptimal options. One of which was I would start complying to whatever the leaders of the country told me to do. The other one was I could sell my stake in the company, retire, resign as the CEO, and leave the country.
Exists in Dubai even today? Slavery.
Indentured servitude slavery, or
do you really want to go? You want to talk to me about how evolved we are, and then make fine-tune adjustments between what slavery is defined as and not defined as? If that's really where you want to go, then let that be an evidence that we're not as evolved as you think we are. If we're actually going to get into a debate about the terminology that defines slavery, indentured servitude versus slavery, I guarantee you anybody who's got a background in slavery is not going to like that argument.
Well, I would say
we're
that
not as evolved.
I would
as you
say
might
the
hope.
fact that you people, and I'm not downplaying a horrible slavery as sexual slavery, human trafficking, all
you
that
know
stuff.
what you know.
But it's they have to keep it clandestine because basically as a society, as a community, that's seen now as inappropriate, and there's the human rights commission.
The wealthiest sex trafficking in the world happens in the United States.
I agree. There's a ton of murder that goes on in the United States too. It doesn't mean we all
murder's
don't
not
think-
slavery, right?
Yeah, but it's looked upon universally as something that we don't do.
Slavery or murder?
Both.
Murder is not something that universally people look at. We don't do. We have we murder people here too, and we have the support of the court system to murder people. We just call it the death penalty. We say, oh, you know what? If 20 people sit on a stand who don't know you and they all raise their hand and say you should be killed, it's okay.
Right.
It's still murder.
That's right, but that is the monopoly of it's the monopoly of violence from the government. So back in the day, the government had the monopoly. Their laws allowed the slave trade as an institution formalized to exist.
Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, the UAE, Dubai are all slave states.
Hold up. Does Hollywood and the CIA work together?
What this lady says is insane.
Well, before we say Hollywood was created by the CIA, I guess I should clarify because, first off, you guys do know the Pentagon has a budget for film. Like, there's a whole department in the Pentagon. That's a fact. There you go. That's all you need to know. There's an entire department in the Pentagon. They get involved with films, and they get involved with films for the purpose of propaganda. They always have. I should have said Pentagon instead of CIA. Tons of them. I should show you the
If
list.
you didn't know that, your mind was probably
wild.
blown.
Yeah, Pentagon Department for Hollywood, tons of them. Even Transformers. Even Transformers, because they're concerned about certain narratives. They get involved with, World War films, How Are We Telling a Story About History? Usually it's because we're lying about what we did or trying not to make Americans aware of the crimes against humanity that we commit overseas,
Yeah, the Pentagon just funded some films. Black Hawk Down, Red Dawn, GoldenEye.
The more you know. So now you understand your experience in theaters is what your government wants you to think. They want you to think that this is how things happen, and it's usually not at all how things have actually happened.
6 of the best movies made with help from the Department of Defense. This is military.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said CIA. I should have just said the government. But
Top Gun.
Yeah.
Red Dawn, Apollo 13.
It's all about
Iron
just
Man?
Iron Man.
Iron Man, yep.
No, that was on the list.
The Marvel movie.
The Marvel movie.
What? Iron Man? Nah, that's her limit right there. She was like, you know what? Now it's crazy.
What is the point of that? Just control?
Yeah, propaganda. It's crazy. You grow up in school and you think propaganda belongs to the
Very
East or
weird.
something.
I think they're all working together to make fools out of us.
So if you want your kids to eat well, you have to teach them what the food does in their bodies so they understand it. You need to tell them that protein will build the muscles strong, and protein makes them feel calm, because that's what amino acids can do. They can make you feel strong and calm, and that carbs will make them feel anxious and nervous and irritable and cranky. Give them a bowl of cereal in the morning before you send them to school, and the next day give them eggs and bacon or whatever they want for meat. Nothing else. No fruit, just meat for breakfast. And then they go to school and have them see if they can see the difference. Have them write their difference that they feel. Make a little checklist. Did you feel cranky? Did you feel hungry? Did you feel tired after you ate the cereal? Have them check the box on which ones they felt. After you ate the protein, did you feel cranky? Did you feel hungry? Did you feel tired? And if they can fill that out and they can see what the food is doing to them, they will make better decisions. But you have to let them be little adults, because that's what you're raising. You're raising an adult. If you take away their ability to reason and think, you're going to just make them kids for the rest of their lives. We don't want that. We want them to become adults. So they need to figure out those processes on their own. This is how you do it.
I love this. Let's not just limit this to kids. Apply this to adults as well.
Welcome to the news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and here's some of the on the world today. In Sudan, the Arbat Dam burst, wiping out over 20 villages. At least 60 people died, 200 are missing, and 50,000 are affected by the flooding. Plus, it was the main drinking water source for Port Sudan. Then in Kenya, 13 prisoners escaped from a police station, including a man accused of murdering and dismembering 42 women. 8 police officers have been arrested, suspected of aiding in their escape. Flash flooding in Indonesia has killed 16 people and more are missing. Finally, humanitarian aid was allowed back into Darfur after the Sudanese government closed its borders 6 months ago. And Russia launched a huge drone and missile strike on Ukraine's power grid, killing at least 7 people, injuring almost 50, and causing water and power outages in as many as 15 cities. Fuck. Follow me if you still get...
TikTok being my daily news is insane to me. Alright folks, thank you for staying till the end. Be kind to each other. If you haven't subscribed, please do. And don't forget to like or dislike so I can make a better content. There's a free gift below. And if you want to buy me coffee or support me through Patreon, the links are in the description below. Have a prosperous day and God bless.